Hi, so first of all, if my hair looks different, it's because it is. I'm not gonna do a hair with dye video on this because this was a mistake. I fucked it up and I'm gonna try to fix it probably today. But, yeah, like, if I fuck up my hair, I mean, I guess there was that one time where I did a hair with dye video where I fucked it up. But, like, generally, I just don't really feel like doing that. Like, I don't have to be consistent. I can do whatever I want, you know? I mean, consistency, if I don't be consistent, like, generally speaking, if I do anything differently than I did it a previous time, and it's not like a deliberate, like, meaningful choice, it kind of fucks with me and it feels like irritating, but I'm just gonna resist that part of my brain or whatever. I'm gonna resist that sort of like thought process or whatever you want to call it, that urge to remain needlessly consistent when like it's completely inconsequential and nothing bad will happen. So yeah, anyway, no one cares, I know. No one cares, no one cares. So yeah, I'm just not gonna do a hair with dye video about this, but I will do a hair with dye video when I actually dye my hair. So yeah, like when I try and fix it today, if I can, because like the problem is, like, the pinky purpley. Believe it or not, even though it looks really pink on camera, like it looks like a super hot magenta kind of thing, that was just purple dye that I used. Like, the way you're seeing it on camera is pretty much how it looks in real life, where it's like mostly pink, more pink than purple. But I used purple dye. In fact, I mixed black with it to make it a little darker. I tried to like darken it up so that it would be a nice dark purple color, but nope, didn't work at all. And then like the blue part, the quote unquote blue parts, like at the bottom and at the top, like here's the bottom parts. Kind of hard to see, but yeah, like you can see it's like barely bluish. It's like a cold silver color mostly. Like it's slightly bluish, but certainly not how I would want it to be. So I got to work on that. Um, got to work on that for sure. But the problem is, like, I don't have much blue dye left. Um, that's the issue. I used up all the blue dye that I had used before, but I have some other kinds of blue dye, like some other brands. So, but I don't think I have much. So I'm gonna see what I can do. Hopefully there's hope. Hopefully there's hope. Yeah, that's a sentence. That's a good sentence. Yeah. Hopefully there's hope. Okay. Um. So yeah. This if this is the best I can do, then I guess it's not the end of the world. It could be worse, but it could be better too. You know what I mean? So yeah, so now we're gonna actually talk about the things. We're 3 minutes in and we haven't even gotten to the main topic. That's okay. That's okay. So yeah, dreamy dreams, little dreamos, little drums, little drummies, little jumjos, little jimbos, little what's poppin' jimbos. Um, so yeah, I guess I'll get to, like, this is another case where I don't actually remember what order they came in, but, like, I feel like it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna tell it in the order that I feel like telling it. So, first, we're gonna talk about the spider dream. So, I had a dream that I was watching a movie about a spider, and it was really existential and weird, and just, like, I don't know, the tone of the movie was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was like really surreal and shit, and just, man, it was crazy. Like, indescribable. Literally, I can't put it into words how it felt. Like, you just had to have been there, man. This is why I wish that, like, we could download our dreams, like, we could save them so that we could watch them later and show them to other people and stuff. Or, or we could, link up each other's brains so that we would have the same dream at the same time. Some people do have dreams that are the same at the same time by accident, just by sheer coincidence. Like, I don't think there's any meaning behind that. It's just coincidence. But yeah, like, nevertheless, that does happen sometimes to people, but I just wish we could do it deliberately, like, whenever we want to. I think that would be badass. Anyway, so the spider dream was really cool. I was having a dream that I was watching a movie about a spider, And at first, for most of the dream, I was just watching the movie in my house, where I am right now. I was just watching it in the living room with my mom. But then later on, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But the setting of me, like where I was, changes in the dream later. But we'll get to that. So anyway, I'll talk about the dream. So it's a spider. She's like, it's a an anthropomorphic depiction of animals and stuff. Like, the spider is it's like a human. It has a will of its own. She has a will of her own, and she all this. I mean, she got a lot of will of her own. See, she's quite different from the other spiders. She's not like other girls. She's like, I mean, she's kind of a Mary Sue almost, now that I think about it, because like she's just OP as fuck, overpowered as fuck, but like I don't care. I love this spider. Like she's it was such a beautiful movie, man. Like if I mean just explaining it wouldn't do it justice. You'd have to have been there, but she was just obsessed with her life and her death and stuff. Like she wanted to be remembered after death and stuff like that. She was like, this movie had very existential themes. Like she was very concerned with how she would be remembered after death, which I've always found to be a bit silly. Like, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what happens after you die, because you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to be around to see it. I don't believe in an afterlife or anything like that, so in my opinion, it's kind of pointless to worry about what would happen after death. Just try to make the most of your life, that's all you can do. But anyway, the spider felt differently, and that's fine, and, she was just obsessed with death and stuff, and, I think she was a black spider, but, like, mostly black spider, but I don't think she was a black widow spider. Maybe she was, I don't know. She was a real sexy little spider. Sorry, guys, that was weird. Pretend I didn't say that. But come on, Black Widow spiders are kind of hot, right? Come on, right? They just so sleek and like, ooh, dangerous. Like, ooh, she's dangerous. She's dangerous. And it's like, if I'm not mistaken, only the female Black Widow spiders. Wait, no. Is it? I might have it backwards. I thought that only the females had the little hourglass on them, but that could be actually the opposite. It could be only the males that have them. I don't fucking know. But Black Widows are hot, man. I don't care. I'm bisexual for Black Widow spiders. I don't give a shit. I'm bisexual for them. I'm pretty sure it is only the females that have that hourglass, and then the males are just like little brown, little small guys, and they're like, I feel like they're not as dangerous, but I could be wrong. I don't even know. I don't fucking know. I'll probably look it up after this. Anyway, so I don't know what kind of spider she was. It's not really important. I just know that she was mostly black and she was cool looking and she was obsessed with death and the afterlife. And so she would do things. She was just different from the other spiders for real. Like for example, she got so good at hunting, like, hunting prey or whatever, or catching prey with her web, that she wouldn't even eat all of the prey, because she would catch an overabundance of food, insects in her web and all that she would instead of just eating them, she would just save them up as kind of trophies to show how dangerous she is, which is kind of a bad idea in my opinion, because if people, if insects see that you have there's all their dead insects in your web, then they're probably going to be like, oh shit, stay away, don't go over there because you'll die, But it didn't really make a difference, I guess. Maybe the insects were just too stupid, so they would just fly in there anyway. And it was cool. It was cool, She was just really badass, really badass spider. And, a lot of the dream, or the movie in the dream, involved her, going from place to place to place. It was a pretty long movie. I feel like it was longer than just feature length, or at least it felt like it was extra long. She would just go, to many different countries. She would travel, you know how, this is a real thing, some spiders, they can make this parachute out of their webs. They can make a sort of parachute, and it, carries them for far distances, the wind will blow them in the air. I think at least one species of spider does that, if not multiple. Maybe all spiders, maybe. I do not know. I don't know. I just know that that's a cool thing that they can do. And so she was doing that. She was like traveling the world and stuff, going to all these little countries. And she couldn't control where she ended up, but she didn't care. She was a free spirit, you know? Like, a free spirit, but not necessarily very, like, youthful, kind of carefree, you know, um, I don't know. She just didn't give a fuck. She just didn't give a fuck. She was kind of like, it's very hard to describe her personality, but like she was very I will say she was very introverted, but not in a shy way, just in like a she's a loner, you know, she's a loner, she doesn't need other people. She's very like self-sufficient, you know, not self-obsessed, but you know, she was just comfortable with herself, very comfortable with living completely alone all the time, and she was kind of lazy in a way as well, like I don't know, she didn't have to try hard to get her meals and all that. So she would just, yeah, she would just do nothing all day and just, like, contemplate existence in her web while the food just kept coming and stuff like that, you know, when she was situated, like when she wasn't traveling the world, flying around for days on end, then she would be, kind of doing nothing and not talking to anyone, and she just didn't care. She just didn't give a shit, you know? Like, this was how she wanted to live. She lived quite a simple existence, almost like sort of stoic. Like, if you know about Stoicism, the original, like, philosophical lifestyle concept thing, then you would know that, like, it does involve living a very simple existence with, like, little, if any, material possessions and stuff like that. So her lifestyle resembled that. And, yeah, but she would wind up in all these different countries and stuff. She was also kind of obsessed with, like, her family lineage because she didn't know who her parents were. I guess I should have brought that up sooner, but yeah, that's another theme in her existence, in her life, was that she didn't know who her parents were, she didn't know where she came from. I feel like she didn't even really remember her childhood for some reason, like, she just had a kind of gap in her memory from when she was a child, which is kind of fucked up because that's usually a sign of trauma in real life. So I don't know what that was about. I don't feel like that got fully explained. But yeah, let me crack my neck. Oh yes, very nice. I wonder if you could hear that in the microphone. Probably not, but maybe. Anyway, yeah, so towards the end of the movie, she ended up like meeting her like see, it was one of those dreams where like one minute something would be one thing and then the next minute the thing would be something else, like it would change, and it was weird, and it like the dream wouldn't acknowledge that it had changed, it would just kind of do that inexplicably. And yeah, so like one minute she at the end of the movie she's meeting her mom, and then the next minute he's like he's her, or I mean she is actually the spider's dad. By the way, I do not know what the spider's name was. I feel like anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. But so at first she's meeting her mom, and then it turns into her dad, but it's not really acknowledged in the dream movie thing. It just kind of happens because dream logic just works that way sometimes. Dream logic, you know. But anyway, it was like a huge emotional thing for her to meet her parent, because she didn't know her parents, you know, and she was like, holy shit, fuck, man. It was like, it was mind blowing. She thought that this moment would never fucking come. She would just never know, because what are the odds, you know? What are the odds? Because, like, she just happened to fly to a country where her parent was, and I don't even remember which country it was. Like, in the movie, they were just making up random countries that I'd never actually heard before. Like, I feel like this one took place in the Middle East somewhere, but it didn't really specify which country in the Middle East it was. So yeah, but it also didn't really specify what time period this took place, but it felt as though her life lasted very long. Like she lived a very long spider life. Like weirdly long. So that was cool. Uh and yeah, so she was meeting her parent for the first time, and that was crazy and whatever, and they talked and stuff, and I don't think it was really acknowledged why she had a gap in her memory from her childhood or anything like that, but it wasn't really thought about too much. Um, oh, and like, I didn't really say too much about like how what a legacy she what kind of her obsession with her legacy after death and everything. I didn't really talk about that so much, but to expand on that, like I think part of why she got so good at like catching prey was to become famous. Like she just wanted people to know that she had worth and stuff. Like I guess she wanted to prove herself. Like it wasn't like she actually thought she was better than other people. It was more like she needed to justify her existence. Like she had some issues with not understanding this important lesson that I think everybody should learn, that like you don't have to justify your existence. Like it's not your fault that you were born. No one asked to be born. And like I mean, it's a good idea to be like a good person, a morally good person, but as far as like being like exemplary and like better and stuff, like being, just superior to other people or perceived that way or whatever, not important. Not important. It is not going to do anything. I mean, it's just, you don't have to, if you're just living an average life, that's really good. That's really good. If you're just living an average life and being just kind of a nobody, that's perfectly fine, and you're not a failure if you're doing that, You're not a failure if you're doing that. So, yeah. Anyway, but she didn't understand that. She wanted to be like the best, because otherwise she felt like a failure. So that's why she was so obsessed with like that kind of thing. But she was a very serious spider, I should mention. Like she was kind of humorless, but I don't know. It was okay. Like in the tone of the movie it felt very cool. Like um yeah. the tone of the movie was just very surreal and stuff. Like not scary at all. I will say, I mean, I don't really remember any scary scenes in it, so I will say it wasn't really scary, just otherworldly, Um it really kind of it made you feel like it was weird that this spider was so human. I mean, like not only is she an anthropomorphized spider in the literal sense, but in a more like kind of, I guess, philosophical way, she did reflect a lot of things that like the human existence, the human experience or whatever uh it has, we're all concerned with so many things. We've got all these worries about like how am I going to be remembered, and like am I good enough, stuff like that. Like animals don't usually worry about that kind of thing. So I guess that's why it was so profound that this spider is so concerned with these things. It made her feel like so human that it was weird. It was almost uncanny, but very cool and like very artistic. It was kind of maybe a little bit of a pretentious film, but very enjoyable. Oh, and I should say it was an animated film, but it was like animated in a very realistic way. The art style was very realistic. And like um most of the scenes were quite moody. Like most of the scenes, not all of them, but most of them would be very low in color, like very like cool tones, like bluish tones, and like dim lighting and stuff, but like not hard to see. Like how in some movies and shows they'll want to make the scene dark for like moody effect, but like they'll make it too dark and you can't see shit. Like a lot of more recent films have that problem. Well, this one wasn't like that. The cinematography was good. Like it wasn't genuinely eye candy per se, but like it was good. It was fucking suitable. It was presentable and acceptable and all that. Yes, that's how I would describe the cinematography. I mean, some of the scenes were pretty beautiful, honestly, but I don't remember all of them too well to give details. But now I'm gonna get to the part I alluded to earlier where I was talking about like how at first I was in my room and then it changed to somewhere else. So um after she meets her parent, um then for some reason in the dream outside of the movie, I was suddenly in a classroom. Like we were watching this in class as like a movie, for school, instead of being in my living room with my mom. So yeah, and like we had to leave because class was over. So the teacher was like, she just stopped the film and she was like, yeah, we're not gonna watch the rest of this. Like the most interesting film I'd ever fucking seen in my life, and we're not even gonna finish it. That was really frustrating. But towards the end of the film, before she stopped it, there was this part where like there were humans. Yeah, there were humans in the movie. It might have been like the first time or one of the first. There weren't a lot of humans in this movie, but like this might be the first time in the movie that humans were seen, and one of them says like that they're gonna call the spider Wilbur, like they're keeping the spider as a pet, and they want to call her Wilbur, and because they think she's a guy, they think that she is a he, so they're like, yeah, I'm gonna call him Wilbur. And it's funny because, that's like Charlotte's Web, except the pig was named Wilbur and the spider was named Charlotte. So it's just funny and weird, but, yeah. And then after that happened, then the teacher turned off the movie, and I was pissed off that I couldn't see it. The other kids didn't really seem to care that much, but I was pissed the fuck off, man. I wanted to see the ending. But yeah, that's what happened. So that's the end of that movie, or that dream. Yeah. The end of the movie, end of the dream. Both. Both. It's both. Yeah. So, that was cool. And then, like, had this other dream where, I was, smoking weed with my sister. Yeah. She had both, she had a pipe and a little, like, pen. You know the little weed pens? The DAP pens, are they called that? DAP? Is it DAP or DAB? Like a dab? I don't know, I'm not cool, guys. I only recently learned that drug dealers are called plugs now. For most of my life, I was just calling them drug dealers. Like, like a cop. And then I got told by someone, a friend of mine, that, like, no, they're called plugs now. You have to be not a dork, You have to, like, not call them that. It's funny if you do. So I was like, oh god, I'm embarrassed. Oh no. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not very cool, just so you know. I may be, like, a huge druggie, but I'm not cool. I'm not cool, just so you know. You can be a druggie and still be a huge dork, and that's me. So, anyway, yeah, so I was smoking weed with my sister, and we was just smoking away, man, just having a good time, and, like, see, I have kind of a lot of dreams about doing drugs, that shouldn't be a surprise, and if you're curious about what that's like, in most dreams, I do actually feel an effect from these dream drugs that I'm taking in the dream and all like that. I can actually feel the effects in the dream, and they're usually not very extreme effects, but like noticeable. I do feel a kind of buzz. But in this case, in this dream, I couldn't feel a thing. But I wasn't really complaining about it. I was just like, okay, I'll just smoke a little more. I'm not gonna worry about, whether or not. Like, I'm gonna keep smoking and we'll see what happens, that's how I felt at the time. And, yeah, so I wasn't, like, concerned, I wasn't gonna complain to my sister, like, hey, this weed isn't doing shit, man, this weed ain't shit, I wasn't gonna do any of that, I was just gonna stay patient, keep working on that high, just keep my head up and pull myself up by my bootstraps and get high, yeah, and, that was interesting and cool, and somehow, oh, by the way, I should mention, like, the scene of this dream was cool. Like, we weren't just, like, in her room or in my room or anything like that. We were, like, up on this tall building, like a skyscraper. We were sitting on, like, the roof of a skyscraper, looking out on, like, at the sky, looking at the sky, and it was, like, it was a sunset, and it was beautiful. It was like a weird purplish kind of like surreal, otherworldly looking sunset, very beautiful. And we were just smoking up there, and that would be a good environment to smoke in because it's beautiful, man. It's kind of trippy. Weed. It's technically a psychedelic if you guys didn't know, but it's not really like other psychedelics. Like it doesn't usually. It's not supposed to make you hallucinate. It's not supposed to do that. But I digress. We're not going to get into that because that's a very complicated matter, and I don't know enough about it to speak on it really. But I just know like it's probably not supposed to make you hallucinate. But anyway, nevertheless, it is kind of a trippy experience, I guess. Yeah, I would say so. It kind of makes you think weird little trippy thoughts and things like that. So. that would be a very good environment to smoke in, to see that beautiful sky and be up on that skyscraper and everything. Very cool, very cool. So yeah, we were doing good. We were doing smart, doing smart, doing good. Anyway, somehow in the dream, I ended up like realizing that it was a dream, and I don't know how that happened, but it sort of came to me. I was like, oh, this is a dream, this isn't real. So I told my sister, I was like, hey, you're not real, like, this is a dream. Like, sometimes when that happens, when I'm lucid dreaming and I know I'm lucid dreaming, well, if you're lucid dreaming, you do know that you're lucid dreaming. That's kind of the whole point. It's redundant. Anyway, when I'm lucid dreaming, sometimes I like to tell the person I'm talking to or whatever, I'll tell them that they're not real just to see what they'll do. But almost every single time, without fail, they will just have like a non-reaction, and this was the case in this one. Like, they might just be like, oh, okay, or they might literally say nothing and just kind of like expressionlessly stare at me or whatever, or just kind of smile or something. Like, just literally, they don't care at all, and they just don't react, So, that's how my sister reacted. I think she just kind of smiled at me and didn't say anything at all. I don't really remember. Maybe she just kind of ignored what I said completely and just kept talking about whatever we were talking about, which I can't remember what it was. But yeah, one way or another, I did not get a satisfactory reaction out of her. And that sucks. Like, when I tell someone they're not real, I want them to freak out. I want them to freak out or do something interesting. Like, come on, man, you're not real, dude. Don't you think that's cray? That shit cray. In the words of Kanye West, that shit cray. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kanye West, guys, but I do like to quote him sometimes. I just find he said a lot of funny things, man. Come on. I mean, that shit cray, that's like the least interesting thing he's ever said. Which, yeah, so, yeah. But it's still kind of funny. Anyway, still kind of funny to say, like, in the words of Kanye West, that shit cray. Okay, anyway, sorry, I'm explaining the joke. I'm so sorry. I'm ruining everything. Everyone hates me. So, yeah. But, so I told her that, and then she didn't have any reaction. That was pretty much the end of that dream. I don't really remember anything else happening there. So yeah, the last dream I remember is of one involving my dad. It's another weird fucking dream. So like, we were just like in the living room at his house, and we were watching TV. And I don't really remember what we were watching or anything, but it was kind of funny, I guess. Like, we were probably watching something funny. And then, like, I have to get up to go to the bathroom. Wait, no, he goes to the bathroom before me, so he goes first. And, like, he takes kind of a long time. And, this is the part where I have to, like, think about how many details I should, like, include. See, like, while he was in the bathroom, I was kind of just fucking around, like, bored, and talking to my sister and stuff, but I don't remember what we were talking about, so yeah, unimportant details, just, yeah. So when he finally gets out, then I get to go in, I get to have my turn, and, like, there's blood all up in the toilet. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but if it's a gal or something, or, like, a biological gal, or whatever the fuck, then you don't need to really be too concerned if there's blood in the toilet. Like, maybe she or they or whoever just forgot to flush. They forgot to flush, and that's fine. Like, it's not to be concerned if it's someone like that. But when it's a biological male, such as my father, then you gotta be a little concerned. But I didn't bring it up to him. I didn't say anything. I was just like, oh, I guess it was just a really hard shit. Whatever. I mean, he was in there for a long time, so yeah, I mean, I think if he was concerned, he would maybe say something. I don't know. I don't think my dad's too embarrassed to, like, tell us if there was blood in his waist, because that's, like, I don't know, it's like, you gotta tell your family that, because that's really concerning, you know what I mean? There was, like, a substantial amount of blood. A substantial amount, It wasn't just, like, a tiny bit. There's, like, a lot in the toilet. It was weird, yeah, it was weird, guys. So, yeah, but I just kind of, like, tried to ignore it. I don't even think I flushed it. In fact, I don't even remember. I didn't actually go to the bathroom in the dream, because my dad, first of all, when he was in there, he didn't shut the door for some reason. He kept the door wide open. And so when I went in, I did the same thing for some reason. I do not know why. But, like, also, while I was in the bathroom, he kept, like, trying to come in the bathroom, and, like, I don't want you guys to think that, like, there's any meaning behind this. Like, my dad is not a creep, and I am not a weirdo myself. Like, there's no meaning behind this. It's just weird dream shit, okay? I promise you that. It's just weird dream shit. I have a lot of problems, but things of that nature ain't one. You got me? You got me? Okay, cool. I got 99 problems, but a weird relationship with my dad ain't one. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay. Alright. My dad watches these videos. Poppy, if you're watching this, don't mention this in real life. Don't come up to me face to face and be like, "Hey, remember this thing?" Don't do that. Like, this isn't important. It's just funny. It's just funny and weird, and it's not something we have to talk about in real life, for fuck's sake. Like, that would be so awkward. So just, just don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not worried. You shouldn't worry. This is not, yeah. Anyway, yeah, he kept trying to come into the bathroom, and I was like, dude, fuck off. And, like, and he was like, at one point he was like, so what are you gonna do if you need to go to the bathroom? And I'm gonna be like, well, I'll just use the fucking bathroom then. He's like, okay, well, you just look a little bit lost. What? I had no idea what he was talking about. And, like, in response to that, I got some sort of, like, cardboard object of some kind. And I just started kind of, like, hitting him with it. Like, hitting him with this cardboard, trying to, like, shoo him away. Like, it was just, like, a ripped-up box or something. And my mom just blew her nose in the background. If you heard a weird noise, that was my mom blowing her nose. This is in real life. In real life, that just happened. So, if you heard a weird noise in the background of this video, my mom just blew her nose. Okay. Anyway, I was beating him up with this cardboard object, not really hurting him because it's just cardboard, but, kind of just, fuck off, Poppy, get out. His name's Poppy. Guys, I call my dad Poppy and my mom Mambo. I always have to explain that because my parents are evil. They're evil, and they made me call them weird names because they're weird. Not in a concerning way, just in an evil way. They're just weird, they're just weird, just in general. I mean, most parents will just be like, yeah, call me dad, call me mom, whatever, But no, my parents had to be special. They're not like other parents. Anyway, yeah, they also had me call diapers nappies, which is something that British people do. So yeah, they made me be British. Basically, my what's it called? Anglophilia, which is what you call, like, that means, like, a love for Britain and things like that, a love for British things. Well, apparently that was just destined, like, that was just destiny. It was chosen before I was even born. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the end of that dream. I don't think I ever ended up getting to go to the bathroom before I woke up, so that was crazy. And by the way, a lot of people, they'll insist, and I've heard this 1,000 times, that, like, if you go to the bathroom in your dream, you're gonna piss yourself or you're gonna shit yourself in real life. Never happened to me. Never happened to me. Ever. Ever. And I've had lots of dreams where I did go to the bathroom in a dream. And it never happened in real life. So y'all are just weird, basically. Y'all are just weird. And if that happens to you, you should be ashamed. It's all your fault, and you're stupid and weird. Keep it to yourself, but also don't. Like, you should seek help because you're insane and you're fucked up and your body's broken. Yeah, be ashamed and stuff. Beat yourself up about it, okay? Yeah. I'm not a freak like you. Okay? I have weird dreams, but I don't shit or piss myself in my bed because I dreamt about that. Okay, so there you go. Anyway, that's all. Goodbye now. I love you, audience. You've been such a lovely audience. You just sit there and you say nothing, and I love that because I get to talk, and I like to talk. Okay, bye.